Thank you. I've got Jose Mourinho here with me. Jose, many people are saying that Manchester United haven't signed anyone and don't look to be in any fit shape to be champions this year. What are your thoughts?
Yes, hello, thank you. I'm first of all, I'm already champion. I already said many times I am already champion. 3 times, I think I said already. I don't need new Premier League trophy. My trophy cabinet is full. It's not a cabinet anymore. It's the building next to my house. There is no room. My wife won't allow me to buy a new house, so I have to live in the hotel, as you know, and it's a little bit sad. But you keep asking me the same questions, and people say bad things about me, but I am a champion. I know I'm a champion. I am the special one. Then I am the happy one, and now I am the smart one, because I have agreed to become the Portugal manager for 2022. This is secret, please. Don't tell many people, but Qatar World Cup, I will be the manager. And World Cup is only trophy I didn't win, so only trophy that my wife will build the new house for. So Portugal is the team I love with all my heart, because I am a fan. So I am Portugal manager 2022. Ronaldo will be my captain and goalkeeper. He will take the free kicks and penalties. I expect him to win the Golden Boot. But to win the World Cup is not easy. The preparation starts now. The strongest opposition to Portugal in the 2022 is England and France. Very strong. Very, very strong. Very nice young eggs. Eggs from Waitrose. They play in these teams. So I am planning for the future. And this is why I am sucking all confidence from players like Luke Shaw. Every day I ridicule Pogba. Every day I do this. I do it the best. Look how he played for France in World Cup. He looked powerful, skillful midfielder. In 4 years, this kind of player will kill William Carvalho in the center of midfield. So now I spend 4 years coaching the quality out of Pogba. So I say again, I am champion. I know exactly what I am doing. Thank you. No more questions.
Really? Do I really have to? I thought these two were done. Oh, okay, fine. This is the Born Offside podcast. It's back, football is back. I hate myself. I hate this podcast. God.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome back. And thank you for Jose Mourinho for gracing us with his presence on the start of the podcast. We're going to have lots more interviews with Jose as we go through the season. That's not the first and the end of them. And there'll be some other really famous people joining this podcast with similar revelations about who they're going to be managing in 2022. Jay, welcome back.
Hey, it's great to be back. Unbelievable.
Is it though, mate? We've only just left, I feel like.
It kind of does feel a little bit like that, actually. And in fact, I have to sort of, in principle, apologize straight away if I'm a little bit off center and off key at the moment, because I have literally just got off the plane from a 24-hour double flight from Portugal back to Melbourne with 2 kids, which were actually quite reasonable, but also reasonable to sort of take care of. But unfortunately, also a screaming wife. Now, she was the issue, really, because I think, if you're traveling with kids, actually everyone goes, oh man, traveling with kids must be so tough. It's the bitch of a wife, that really No, she didn't
Mate.
have enough time in layovers to go and buy whatever perfumes from duty free. The whole thing was a freaking mess. It was just like, anyway. So I'm working off about 3 hours sleep in the last 24, and
Mate, as well as a screaming wife, I believe that you had a screaming asshole as well, because you had some.
I did, yes, and it's quite an unbelievable thing. I decided to embark on an adventure of eating a 1 week old sandwich with egg and mayonnaise pate in it, and I thought that might be quite, because it was really yummy when it was originally done, but then it got stuck in the fridge, and then afterwards it came out of the fridge, and in Portugal it was 40 degrees, so it stayed out one night in 40-degree heat, and then it went back into the fridge again, and it came out. And on the day of my morning of my travel, I thought, yeah, what better way to travel than to have one of these adventurous sandwiches? So I lay the foundations for an extremely sick travel, of which I proceeded to not vomit. Funnily enough, I managed to keep that one down, but excrete from my anus. This is disgusting.
How far into this are we?
Of water which has been consistently coming out for the last 24 hours. So that's really nice. I feel rather sick now just talking about it. So can we talk about something else? I think
yes. Let's please. How about football? Specifically, the new season starts. The new Premier League season at least starts on Friday. So it's now Sunday where I am, Monday where Jason is. So for you, mate, it's even less time. Even though it kicks off at the same time, it's somehow less time for you. Anyway, the Premier League is imminent, particularly in Australia. So we're going to be previewing the Premier League season. We'll also be talking a little bit about what we're going to be talking about on this podcast for the rest of the season. We're not going to be doing a podcast after every single match like we did in the World Cup. That would kill us. We're going to be doing one pretty much every week and around this time. So you should, if you subscribe, you should get it automatically on your phone or wherever you get your podcast from at this time. So this show will do a little bit of a preview of what we think is going to come for the season, but every week we'll be doing a preview and review, mostly centered around the Premier League. Today we'll cover transfers. Jason and I are going to pick out our top 3 and bottom 3. We're going to be looking at some new additions to the Premier League, like Sarri, Chelsea, or Wolves in general. We'll have a regular spot, which is where is Roman Abramovich, because no one's quite sure where he is. Some predictions for the top 4, the bottom 3. Who's going to come 10th? Key question everyone wants to know the answer to is who is going to finish 10th? Jason and I will tackle that issue. And then we'll also look at things like a Euro roundup. So apparently there's this thing called Europe. I've not heard of it. Jason was in it very recently in Portugal, so perhaps he knows more about it than I do. And there will be a few other things. Like I said, we're going to have some interviews and some famous people coming on. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Is there anything I've left out there? Oh, Jay, there's one hugely important thing I've left out that we're going to be talking about every week. Germany are out, mate. Germany are still out of the World Cup.
It's very true. It's very true, and obviously still fresh, very fresh in your mind. Germany are indeed out, and it's. I think it'll be very enjoyable to touch on the Leroy Sané subject on a few occasions, because we just should,
What a beautiful, beautiful segue into today's Community Shield, which featured Leroy Sané.
Leroy Sané, absolutely, and a good job he did when he was on the pitch. Admittedly, it was a great match. Actually, it was although it was played at a slightly slower tempo, but the kind of tempo that you would normally associate with Community Shields, I guess, in a way, maybe just a tad slightly sort of on the slower side because of the heat, it was just they just had to keep going for water breaks in the second half, and it was just sweltering. You could just see it, that it was just a little bit too much for the players. But Sané went off with suspected possible ankle injury, I think, but just a knock. So at the end of the first half, but I thought he did delightfully well for himself. And
yeah, he looked like the kind of player that Germany could have used in the World Cup.
Yeah, funny that. Yeah. But anyway, just the way it goes, I guess.
Mate, you know what this game also did for me? It reminded me of the existence of Sergio Aguero. I mean,
he's still
he existed, and he was there in the World Cup. He was useless, and now he's like a really good Premier League striker who scores hundreds of goals. It's
Yeah,
are they the
200
same person?
to be
200.
specific.
Yes. Mate, I literally was watching this game going, oh yeah, Sergio Aguero. Oh, he's bloody good. He's very, very good.
He is very, very good, and it's amazing to think that at the beginning of last season, before Jesus got injured, Aguero wasn't even getting much of a sniff as well. So, and whether that'll happen again this season, it'll be very interesting to see. I think he's given Guardiola a good back rubbing. Back in the well, I don't know whether he's given him a good back rubbing, but if he has done, then he's obviously done a very good job because Guardiola has obviously selected him. So here you go. Here's your back rub. That doesn't.
Is that how you get into the Manchester City starting 11?
Guardiola
is clueless. He's like, they're all so bloody good. Mendy, Laporte, Stones, Walker, Silva, the other Silva. I can't even tell the difference between one Silva and the other. I just give it to whoever rubbed me back.
Someone's rubbing my back. Oh, that's nice. Oh, who are you? You're in.
Oh, Sergio, you're in.
Where's Jesus when I needed him? Anyway, yeah. So like he did really well. But what was really frightening about this was, and frightening for me, I think frightening for all Premier League teams next season, and that is quite simply that first of all, Manchester City are going to take an incredible amount to be beaten. I don't think that they're going to be beaten, at all. They might even go unbeaten this whole season, I reckon. Judging by the way that they played, they really did smash Chelsea, and I know Chelsea have only had the sexist, racist Sarri manager for the last 3 weeks or so. So they need time to gel to his ideas.
His football ideas. His
football ideas. Sorry, yeah, because his philosophical ideas are still a little bit wayward from Greeks. But he, I think he got a good spanking. He really did, and I don't think he was very impressed with a lot of his side. So let's see how he makes them work and train to see if they can get up to Man City's level. But the scary thing, I think, for me was the youngsters coming in for Man City. Foden
looked really good, didn't he? Lovely setup for the second goal.
I mean, he looked good last season, but he looked good in the sense that he was raw and he was looking good. But this game, like, he was flying. He was just flying, and it was scary to watch. And Brahim Diaz, when he came on, and there was a whole bunch of youngsters that they've got coming into the side. There was the one that came on in the 94th minute when there was 94 minutes to play as well. He didn't get a touch, but he played amazingly, and for the 0.1 seconds that he was on.
That's an impressive 0 seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, mate, I think, I mean, is there anyone capable of coming even close to Man City this season, really?
Well, mate, we're going to talk about transfers, and I think we can segue again seamlessly in, if only I can explain myself as I talk. But I think the one team that can go up against Manchester City was really the one team that managed to have any kind of success against them last year, which was Liverpool, who obviously were the first team to beat them in the league and then beat them in both legs of the Champions League quarterfinal.
Yep.
While we're doing signings, I would put the signing of Alisson, who is a Brazilian man, is not. Yeah. Anyway, Alisson.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
They haven't just gone, oh, Alisson.
I thought she had a famous song, but
no. Yes.
Alisson Moye.
But his name is Alisson. So, like, about Portugal and Brazil, because if you look on the websites. By the way, we're talking about Liverpool have signed a keeper from Brazil called Alisson Becker, I believe, who I believe to be a really, really fantastic signing in a position that Liverpool really needed. You don't have to be an expert, having seen Karius lose the Champions League final all by himself. But, mate, he's Alisson Becker. So is Alisson a common first name for Brazilian men? Is it like in Italian, Andrea is a common boy's name? Is that a thing?
Well, Brazilians have been renowned for having, sort of slightly unorthodox names and first names and surnames as well. Over the last few years, they've kind of, it's such a melding pot of cultures, of people who have ventured from all the way around the world and who have ended up in Brazil, that names have sort of taken on, have become very varied. And also you look at some of the names that they have over there and you think, well, hang on a second, did their parents just make a spelling mistake? They could have done. And so
is he Ali's son? Is that who he is?
He's Ali's son. There we go. He's probably my mate Ali. He had a son, right?
Ali's
and it was
son?
called Ali's son. Yeah. And
right,
and everyone knew him round the neighborhood as Ali's son. So whenever you needed Ali's son to do something, you call him Ali's son.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, he looks a really good goalkeeper, and he's good enough to keep Edison, who I thought was the best goalkeeper in the Premier League last year. He keeps Edison out of the Brazil team, so he's got to be of a pretty good quality. And I think him, plus the addition of Keita and Shaqiri, although those are not my other two top three, but I would put Alisson as my top one signings, obviously the most expensive signing. And I think Liverpool, to answer your question, will have a chance of pushing City. Mate, what about you for best transfers?
Well, for me, like, look, first of all, like the Premier League. Oh my God, I can't believe it's almost here already. It's just so soon after the World Cup. It's just great. And we've often spoken about this together over the years about how a World Cup or European Cupless year can tend to make the summer drag on, and it's just
you have to watch the Rugby World Cup or the Cricket World Cup and pretend it's the same thing. It's
no, it just doesn't. It just doesn't work. No,
Germany don't play in either of those.
And they're out of the World Cup, so let's see if they
have
any luck for next Euros. But anyway, I just think I'm although Manchester City I think are to me like really undoubtedly going to be the team to beat. I mean, I'm sure like most people wouldn't disagree 100%. Yes, Liverpool obviously are in there, but I am just really, really excited about this Premier League and this season. And I'm not entirely sure exactly what it is about it that I'm excited about. But I think it's just the amassment of different teams that are involved, the transfers that have happened, the buzz that is coming into this is really immense. And we've had an influx of new players come in, and not many good players leave as well, which has been a bit of an issue over the past couple of seasons with the likes of Coutinho or even dating back to Suarez or Bale or all these people who sort of leave and go on to do great things at other clubs. It gets a little bit sad, but this season no one's really left, and if anything we've started to bring new players in, and that's really, really exciting, and new managers as well. So Wenger's gone. This will be a very interesting year for Arsenal as well. But to me, when I look at all the transfers that have happened this season, I look no further than Fulham. I think that Fulham have it beggars belief some of the stuff that has gone on over there, and to just start with Andre Schürrle, who has come in. We all know how he likes to disobey people and score goals.
Yes.
He's just
he likes to score goal number 6 and goal number 7. Those are his favourites to score. The real nose rubbers.
That's the one. And I thought it was a very strange decision. Chelsea have made some extremely strange decisions over the past few seasons. When you look at the success of some of the players who have left and come back to the Premier League, Andre Schürrle, I think, was one of them. I didn't quite understand why they let him go. Obviously, we're talking De Bruyne, Lukaku, and some of the others as well. But like Andre Schürrle, I always rated him very highly. And he went on and he did very well. And now, admittedly, he's sort of reaching the twilight of his career. He may not have the speed that he once had, but he's still an extremely talented football player. And he's actually only 27, so he's still got a good few years, but he's only on loan. We'll see how it happens. But they've also brought in Alexander Mitrovic. I think is always fun. Metro, he's worth a good couple of red cards a season at least. So that'll be fill us with joy. Alfie Mawson from Swansea, they've brought him and made sure that he continues being a Premier League player, and I think that's also very exciting. But I'm extremely excited as well by Jean-Michel Seri as well, who is the Cameroonian player that they've just brought in from Nice, and I think that's one to look out for. This guy was sorry, he's not Cameroon, he's Ivory Coast. Sorry, this guy was touted as one of the best future midfielders, and was almost going to Barcelona a few seasons back. I know him a little bit because when he first arrived in Europe, he came to Porto over in Portugal, and then he switched over to Offside as well, another up and coming team at the time. And he in the French league for the past 2 seasons has the highest pass rate of Ligue 1. So I think he's going to be very interesting to see. I think Fulham have really got themselves a sort of catch there on that one. Obviously, he's not going to be anywhere near the one of the top players for completed passes this season, because undoubtedly the top 5 will all be Man City players. But I think he's a real exciting one to look out for. So I think Fulham have done a really, really good job in the transfer season. The transfer.
Window.
In the transfer.
It's called a window. Mate. It's called a transfer window. I don't know why it's called a window. It should be called a door. Anyway,
yeah.
Because they don't come in through the window, do they? Like, it's like, wait, Jean-Michel, get over it. No, through the window, mate. Come in. No, fuck the door. It's closed. It's through the window. That's it. There you are, lad. Through the window.
Mate, you're more likely to throw someone out the window, aren't you? Though?
Yeah, they come in through the door, they go out through the window. Football's got that completely wrong. I must agree with you about Fulham in general, and Jean-Michel Seri in particular, who Guardiola has said is kind of the natural successor to Xavi, which is, high praise. And if your stats about passing are indeed correct, we can look forward to some goal line backward passes when it's easier to tap it into the net, which are, that's something that you have to have watched football for a long amount of time to appreciate.
Like, at Craven Cottage, of all places.
What a place to do it at. I think Fulham are going to be a lot of people's second team. Sessegnon, who I think is still only 17, 18, is obviously a very exciting player. They've got him and a couple of other English players. The manager was, I don't want to say cheated out of his run at the Premier League, but he got Watford promoted and then was fired immediately, which is not what you usually do. Watford are doing okay, but I'm looking forward to him to having a crack at it. So I think Fulham's a good call, mate. And then I'm gonna, for my last one. So I actually had Jean-Michel Seri on my list. I've already said Alisson, and mate, this is difficult for me to do because I tend to think of Arsenal in the same way I think of Germany, i.e. not favourably at all. And, for example, Mesut Ozil is pretty much the shittiest person on the planet. As far as I can't think of anyone worse. Trump, maybe. It's close. He doesn't play for Arsenal. Anyway, but they've signed a player called Stefan Lichtsteiner, who is an absolute bastard. He's a horrible, horrible, nasty git.
Hang on a second. I thought Suarez was up there.
Yeah, I mean, Lichtsteiner is sneakier than Suarez's bastardry is very overt. He doesn't hide it. Lichtsteiner's bastardry is discreet and hidden. But what do that Arsenal team need more than anything else? It's a proper bastard. And what's his face? Xhaka he wants to be a bastard, Xhaka, but he's too stupid. Lichtsteiner is I worries me a little bit. He's pretty much the only player who's, well, how old is he? What, 34?
34, yes.
34-year-old Swiss right back, but he installs some fear in me, just because he might just bring that mentality to Arsenal, which they've been lacking. Let's face it. One of the wondrous things about Arsenal's demise, fall, which we all hope continues. But one of the great things about it has been is it's been almost entirely down to mental fortitude or their lack of it. And so it worries me that they should bring in a super Euro bastard in the form of Stefan Lichtsteiner to install that back into them. So yeah, that's my top three. So you've just gone Fulham, and I've gone like Jean-Michel Seri, Alisson, and Lichtsteiner. Mate, let's get on to the part of this podcast.
Mate, hang on, because just to add to your point there on Lichtsteiner.
Oh, you want to say something? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, as well. Sorry, I should have probably interrupted you beforehand, but you were going on such a beautiful run. I never thought it would end, and I thought you might as well just keep going. But the thing with Lichtsteiner as well is, when you compare, because he's inherently a right back, right? And I think Arsenal have had some issues both at right back and at left back because the kind of right backs and left backs that they've been employing over the last decade or so are the kind that would, you sort of, when you go on one of these sort of football tours with your team, but it's like a friendly football tour to the United States. You share rooms and everything. You might share bunk beds with 6 others, and the left back and the right back will, instead of going out for a couple of bevies down the bar at the end of the evening, they'll go back to their bunk beds and they'll play cards until 10 o'clock and then probably go to sleep. Lichtsteiner is the kind of guy who will burst into the room, maybe smash down the door, smash down the bunk beds that they both stay in, and
naked. He's naked at this time.
He is naked, sweating at this time, but with a smile on his face. You might kick them both left back and right back in the guts and tell them to fuck off, and then afterwards take both their positions. He is that kind of animal, and I have to say, when you said that he instills fear in you, I thought you meant just instills fear in you generally, as in when he's bursting through the door, not generally as he's going to make Arsenal a better team. But I get, he probably is going to make Arsenal a better team because he's going to be such a bastard. You're right.
Mate,
so yeah.
Mate, I'm too far away from him, but I'm glad I am. Mate, let's get on to the part of this podcast which everyone listens to, which is our predictions for who are the worst signings. Mate, give us your top 3 worst signings of this window.
Well, you can go no better than the magnificent signing that Chelsea have made of Monsieur Rob Green. I think that's got to be, surely without a shadow of a doubt, the worst signing that I have. I'm not sure if it ever, because there've been some pretty crappy signings over the years. Southampton have been guilty of doing a few of those themselves. But this one, this one even beggars the whole out of left field quote, out the window. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Why on earth would they hire or get Rob Green, who I assume is coming straight out of retirement? I think, isn't that right? I think he's come out of retirement to come in.
Well, there's a headline in the Metro which reads, Maurizio Sarri's backroom team bemused is in quotation marks, bemused by Chelsea's decision to sign Rob Green. And they have this rather wonderful picture of Willy Caballero, who, let's not forget, was shit.
He was.
During the World Cup. And there's this picture of Caballero who's got Willy written on him, on his gloves, pointing at Rob Green. And it's as if to say, there's another Willy. Yeah, it's a very interesting signing, mate.
It's pretty stupid, but you know what's so weird is that, like, Courtois has been, after Czech left, Courtois was their top keeper, and I think everybody thought, this is it now. Chelsea are going to keep this guy for years and years and years and years and years. He's the top guy. That's why they brought him in, but he was so young when they brought him in. He dislodged Petr Cech. It was all really crazy. Cech went to Arsenal. It was just so nuts. And now it's like they seem to be letting him go without even a fight. I don't understand. It's such has been his dominance in the Chelsea goal over the last few seasons that we haven't even thought about who might be the second or third choice keeper. Now Willy's in there. I didn't. It's ridiculous. I mean, why? I don't know. Anyway, it is very, very interesting. I love the fact that bemused was in speech marks. It's just because I think that encapsulates how everybody must have thought when they saw that transfer go up. I'm sure Rob Green as well must have been like, yeah,
Maybe
I'll come.
that's why they've signed him. They've signed him because Willie Caballero had
Yeah.
such a horrible World Cup that they want to boost his confidence. So they brought in someone who's had an even more horrible World Cup. and Rob can sit down and go, well, Willie, I mean, at least you've made contact with the ball. I let a Clint Dempsey 25-yarder go through my hands.
Mate, that's a genius move if that's indeed the case.
Yeah.
And well done to Chelsea. Hats off to you. I'm such an idiot. Absolutely, that was just amazing.
Mate, who are your other two? Give us your other two.
Mate, I'm gonna go for Benica Phoebe. I'm not entirely.
Where's he gone?
He's gone to he's actually gone to Stoke now, but it was Wolves. No, sorry, hang on a second. So this is where I'm very confused. I was under the impression that he went to Wolves this season on loan. But now he's moved to Stoke from Wolves, but he's still classified as a Bournemouth player. So I'm very confused. I'm just thinking, like, I don't understand why this player has moved on. And actually, I'm sorry. I thought he was still at Wolves, and I was going to say that was a bit of a strange one. But he actually did. He was at Wolves 3 seasons ago, and he did extremely well. Then moved to Bournemouth, then back to Wolves, and it's all been a very sort of confusing issue. So I think it's a bit of a strange one to see
for
him.
pure confusion reasons.
Yep.
I don't know exactly where he is, therefore it's a terrible signing.
What he's doing, where he's gone, and whatever. But I've always thought, he's a bit of a I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let him go. I'm going to move on straight on to my third one. so for pure confusion. Angus Gunn. Now, as many people may remember or may not remember, I am indeed a Southampton supporter. Dave, you are a Tottenham supporter.
Why did you feel the need to say that? Like, let it go.
Just to remind people, we're vouching to do our very best not to talk overtly or overly. Sorry, different meaning there. About our preferred teams during this podcast, because we want to be able to cover the Premier League as a spectacle that the Premier League actually is and deserves. But I, for this is to me a very, very strange one. Angus Gunn coming in, basically spelling the end of Fraser Foster, who was on the periphery of getting into the England squad, and then poor guy suffered a terrible injury, was out for a very long time, then fought his way back in, and then seemed to go off the ball. And then Alex McCarthy came out of nowhere and did extremely well. And now they've brought in Angus Gunn, and I just don't understand what Mark Hughes is doing. So maybe he's a bit like Seri. He doesn't really have much of a say in who comes in and who goes out.
Goalkeeper. Perhaps that's something that Premier League chairmen are putting their foot down with and are saying, I'm picking the third choice goalkeeper. You're not.
It's just, all the chairmen got together at the beginning of the end of the World Cup and just went, what can we do to make ourselves stand out? I know.
And feel better about ourselves. I know. We'll be choosing the third choice goalkeepers. Oh, I want Rob Green.
Beautiful. Everyone in unison. Great job. Lovely. That'll show them. Yeah.
Mate, shall I do my three?
I think you should. Absolutely. Go for it. Shoot.
Okay, so mate, this is going to be controversial, this one. I'm Riyad Mahrez.
All right. Why?
Well, he's a good player. He's at times a very good player. But Manchester City have Silva and Sane and the other Silva, and why do you need to spend 60 million quid on Mahrez for?
Yeah, it's not a bad point, and I think it's one that probably a lot of people thought about. He is a great player. I mean, undoubtedly, he's got that magical left foot, where he can smash a goal in from pretty much anywhere. But I don't know. I think when you're reinforcing your team, maybe Guardiola was just out of ideas. He just thought, I've got to sign someone. And didn't he come in cheaper than No, sorry, more expensive than what he would have cost in January. I think in January they were going to sign him for 50, and they backed out saying it was too expensive or something at the time, and now they've signed him for 50.
I think this is what has happened. I think Guardiola in January got stupidly nervous that he wasn't going to win the Premier League title, because that's the kind of personality Pep is, and he's gone and sorted out this transfer himself, and then Bizgirik, Stan, and the other one who run it in the back went, Pep, no. And Pep's gone, oh, come on, lads. Come on. We're only 25 points clear, and Man United have won a couple of games. They go, no, Pep, no, financial fair play. No. Oh, come on, fellas. Let me have him. What happens if one of the Silvers gets injured? Pep, you can't tell the difference between the Silvers. I know. So what happens if one of them gets injured? I won't know which one to play or not play. And I'll just play Mahrez instead. And then what they've said is, look, Pep, if you win the league, we'll buy you Mahrez as a gift. And that's what they've done. They've just got, it's just a little gift. And Pep's happy. I think it's just kept Pep. Pep's gone, oh, okay. Now if one of the Silvers gets injured, I just play neither Silva and I'll play Mahrez instead.
Genius, mate. Genius. The only other sort of rationale I can possibly think of is that he got drunk over a card game, and it was a deal that he sort of promised that he had to do unless he lost the hand. Here comes the hand. I've lost all my money. I've got a full house. I should be able to win this. I'll see your full house, but I'll raise you Riyad Mahrez in the summer. You have to buy him if you lose this hand. He's he's already lost all his clothes. He's butt naked, playing against Jose Mourinho, the two of them, and Mourinho's got all of his clothes on, and Guardiola puts down his full house, and Mourinho shows him a royal flush.
How did this get into this position where poker hand names sound like filthy innuendos for a naked Guardiola?
He stands up, pulls his pants down, and shows him his royal flush, and that was it. He had to buy Mahrez. It was the deal. So, too bad, mate.
I think that's how most of your bad decisions happen. I don't think it's how Pep Guardiola does business. Shall I name my other two?
Please do.
My other two worst transfers of the Premier League window are Andy Carroll. Now, you might be saying to yourself, but Andy Carroll hasn't gone anywhere. Exactly. Andy Carroll has not gone anywhere. Keeping Andy Carroll, because you hear that all the time, don't you? Like Harry Kane signing a new contract. It's like signing a new player, which is bollocks. It's nothing like signing a new player. It's like signing an existing player. But you hear it all the time. It's a cliche. But if that cliche were to exist, Andy Carroll is the embodiment of it, because he hasn't gone anywhere, because he really should have. Because Andy Carroll is shit. And then my other worst one is just the club of Tottenham, because we haven't signed anyone. Like, you and I were looking at this yesterday. We're looking at the ins. And usually there is like some lone player who's come back in, or some youngster you've snapped up, or something. But Tottenham have got nothing. Nobody. No one extra is joined. Like, not even a tea lady or a boot room person, or, I don't know, staff at the club shop or something. Like, there are no ins at all.
It's very, very true. And it's so weird. But, it is very, very Levy, isn't it, really? I mean, he does this season in, season out. And I don't know whether or not Pochettino agrees with it or not, or whether he just sort of
furious.
I'm sure he must be, but but he stays there season in and season out. Poch has had plenty of opportunities to leave for other clubs, and yet he stays there. So there must be something that is keeping him there. But I mean, it is a very, very strange one. A team like Tottenham, who finished so well last season, finally ahead of Arsenal, and in a great position in the league, and beating so many teams, and doing so well. You would imagine them to be one of those teams that would be going, okay, this is it now. Let's push now. Let's go for it. 3 or 4 big signings to come in and really, do a Liverpool. You would really expect someone like Tottenham to do that, and instead they've just they've got nothing. They've just gone completely all wimped out. They've wimped out. You know,
Mate,
I'm very surprised.
I have to stop you there because every word you say is like a dagger through my heart. Because it's all completely correct. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, it will be part 2, which will be Jason and Dave's predictions. We should have made a jingle. There you go. There's a jingle.
Oh, there's a jingle.
We'll be right back.
Apparently, the Premier League season runs for 10 months. I have to introduce these two clowns for 10 months. What did I do to deserve this?
Right, everybody, thank you. Welcome back. Jason and I are now going to solve all of your financial woes by correctly predicting the top 4, the bottom 3, and the middle 1, as in we're going to choose who finishes 10th. Yes, get down the bookies, put these on. We've got a sponsor this year. It's Bet563. There'll be a message from them at the end of this show. But yeah, get down your local bookies, whatever one you like to use. Get out your phone, tap away, whatever it is. Here come the top 4. We're not going to pick the same top 4, so I'm not quite sure who you want to bet on. You choose. One of us will be exactly correct. Jake, go. Top 4 in order.
Excuse me. Oh my goodness! This once again. I mean, we've already obviously gone for Manchester City winning this. I think I just can't see it happening in any other way. I think they're going to go for it. A steamroller through absolutely everybody. Man City to win the Premier League for the 2018-2019 season.
I concur.
I think it's definitely there. I think we've mentioned it already. Liverpool, I think, are really going to have to be the next ones up there. Although, I think Manchester United, I'm sad to say, are going to be. They did so well last season in the face of adversity, sort of. Although they spent a hell of a lot of money with Lukaku coming in, and but he went off the ball, during Christmas, and there were big question marks over his performance and whether or not he can keep it going all the way through a season. I think he's matured quite a lot. I think he had a great World Cup, and he's going to bring that maturity into the game. With Man United having such a bad preseason so far as well, and with Mourinho just going a little bit crazy with all of this stuff, it does all sort of sound and fit into a very Mourinho-esque kind of season. I almost wouldn't put it past them to do a bit of a crazy one and even maybe even push Man City a little bit, but I just don't think so. But it's not out of the question that Man United could do it. Yet I'm still going to go for Liverpool in second. I'm going to go for Man United in third, and I think it's going to be close between the two of them. And then I'm going to put Tottenham in fourth. And I'm going to put Tottenham in fourth because they did very well last season, and I think. I think they'll be okay. They've still got. It's very difficult, isn't it? Because if you don't have anybody coming in at all, we've seen it over the years when Chelsea didn't get anybody in a couple of seasons back, and they think that they've got the team that would be able to do it. It would have been interesting actually if Man City didn't get Mahrez in. Would they continue? But bringing in new players does bring in that little bit of fresh light into clubs. That's just always been evident. So I would say, but I still think Tottenham should be third, and Man United fourth. That's what I'm going to go for.
Okay, so mate, I'm actually almost entirely in agreement. I've got City first, Liverpool second. I think United will probably finish third, and Spurs will finish fourth because they'll struggle with this new stadium and getting used to it a little bit. But Chelsea haven't really bought anyone of any significance. You wonder if they'll be able to adapt to Sarri's way of playing. And even though Arsenal have added super bastards, Stefan Lichtsteiner, I still don't think they quite have the quality. We'll see. It'll be interesting. Mate, that's very, very interesting that we should be in near universal agreement for the top.
Pretty much tandem. Yeah,
Mate,
yeah. Because
what about?
I'm with you on the Arsenal and the Chelsea thing. I think they'll make up the top six for sure. But I'm with you. I just don't think this is going to be the season for them, exactly for the reasons that you've outlined there.
Mate, bottom three, I'm going Cardiff, because they have Neil Warnock as manager, and Neil Warnock is a very, very good Championship manager and a very, very bad Premier League manager. He's also a git. Huddersfield, I think Huddersfield obviously stayed up by the skin of their teeth last year, and I think that now that the skin has come off their teeth will fall out, and they will fall out of the Premier League. I just don't fancy them to be able to go and do it again. I don't think they've got the players. Second season, people will figure them out. No, I don't think that's going to do. And Brighton. Now, Brighton have made some intelligent signings. They've got a lovely manager, lovely, lovely man. I adore Chris Hughton. I think he's a lovely, lovely man. I would quite like him to be my dad, but he's not. And I have to live with that.
I'm sure.
No. I have to live with it, mate. It's too late. But I just think he doesn't have a great record in the Premier League when they have to go winning games. They kind of snuck under the radar. But Fulham and Wolves have come up, and we all kind of we've touched on how much we like Fulham and Wolves, who are owned by I say George Mendes, but you say
George Minge.
Yes, George Minge. So the Minges team, the Team Minge, will be staying up because they've bought the entire Portugal squad other than Ronaldo.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they actually had a little flutter on that one. It's unbelievable what's happened at Wolves, and I think we'll save this for another podcast, and we'll go into Wolves a little bit more in detail at a later period. But my sort of feeling generally is, being Portuguese and enjoying seeing Portuguese players and managers and kit men, whatever, come into the Premier League. It's always fun, and I follow them. I enjoy seeing it. And Wolves have just got an influx of Portuguese players who they have been signing for the last 2 years. So it has been extremely interesting for me to see them, and yeah, no, I'm very, very excited about what's going on there.
Your bottom three, mate. Your bottom three.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say so, because I think I'm very, very close to the ones that you've mentioned as well, just like we did for the top three. I'm very close. Cardiff, once again as well. I think we're both going to enjoy this. But Warnock, what a pillock. God, I absolutely hate him. I really do. I hate him with a vengeance. Sorry, passionate vengeance. But I think because he's. I'm not going to compare him to Ian Holloway, because Ian Holloway he can be funny, but he's also he's just that other. I wouldn't want to play under him. I think it would just be, I wouldn't enjoy it. He wouldn't allow you that freedom to be able to express yourself. I
don't think he'd allow you freedom. Full stop.
No, very true.
Players locked up.
He would. He'd tie your shoelaces together, and we all know in football that's just stupid. But yeah, you're just gonna fall and break your nose. I'm with you with Huddersfield. I think I just think it's going to be a little bit too far. They really were in free fall last season, and they're probably going to go down. But the thing is, we're looking at teams here that are sort of likely, and more likely to go. And what has happened a lot over the last few seasons is there's always been one big gun in there. We've seen these big teams sort of suddenly slump down in there, and go down to the Championship. And I'm going to actually go a little bit left field on this, and I'm going to put Leicester in there.
Oh,
I'm going to go for it because I think they've lost Mahrez. The Rat is getting a bit old. I think they're going to lose
Hazim Maguaza.
Yeah, I think they're going to lose him. It's only 7 days left.
Old slabhead.
Yeah, Mourinho is going to get in there, I reckon. And if he does, let's put it that way. If Mourinho gets his way, and they pay 75 or whatever it is for Slabhead, and they get him out there, I'm going to put Leicester in there as that team who, right at the beginning of the season, they go like 8 games without winning. Just like Crystal Palace was 7 games without winning, and without scoring a single goal. I think, was it Palace last season? And although they brought Hodgson in and he worked a little miracle there, I think Leicester with Puel is just not gonna break it. I reckon. I think it's gonna. Yeah.
All right. I mean, Leicester are my team for 10th. Like. That's my team for 10th. We'll get on to yours in a minute. Interesting you should touch on Crystal Palace. Just quickly on Crystal Palace. Whether or not they go down, it completely depends on whether or not they sell Zaha, because last year, every game that Zaha didn't play in, they lost. So
that's right.
It would seem apparent that all they need to do is keep Zaha and they should be fine. Like, just get him out on the field, whatever condition he's in, because if he plays, they don't lose. So...
Mate. All I want is for Speroni to bring back the tracksuit bottoms. That's all I want.
The tracksuit bottomed goalkeeper in January. Oh, yes.
I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it, mate, if they do that. But mate, they've got Max Meyer in there now, and I'm quite excited to see him.
Decent signing.
He is a decent signing, and I think for Crystal Palace he'll be very good. But I'm with you. If Zaha stays in, I was actually going to go for Crystal Palace as being my pick for 10th. So funnily you should mention on that one, because I think Crystal Palace. Although they were in free fall, although they did so badly at the beginning of the last season, I think Hodgson has come in, and I think this will be Hodgson's last year. He's I think he'll finish
on the planet, or just like in football management.
Oh God, that's a bit.
This is my last year. Like, ever.
I hope he doesn't pop a clog, halfway through the season.
Please don't, Roy. We want you to live.
Roy,
can we just say that we don't want Roy to live. I just
we do.
It's a funny expression. Sorry, I apologize.
And I followed it with popping a clog. Yeah. No,
Is
mate. Look,
to pop your clogs, plural. Like, what does popping a clog do?
Just popping the one clog is the beginning of the rest of the clogs, isn't it? Like, once the one clog goes. Yeah. Mind you, if all clogs go. No, anyway, it doesn't matter. I know. I'm a little bit torn actually for 10th. I was going to go for Crystal Palace, but I was between Crystal Palace and Everton. To be honest, I think Everton have also done really well with their signings this season, and they were a little bit of a kind of they had historically for what they did in regards to Southampton taking Coman away from us in the way that they did, made it so that last season I absolutely despised Everton. But then they brought in Sam Allardyce, and I thought, I started feeling a bit sorry for them more than anything else. And then they did well, and I wasn't too fast, because with Coman they did so badly, and I was really happy with that. I just wish that they continued, because it looked like they were going to be relegated. But now that I'm gently allowing Everton back into my heart, and I think this year they've done quite well with their signings, and I'm quite interested to see Richarlison flourish for Everton, and it was between Everton and Crystal Palace for 10th for me, but I'm going with Crystal Palace.
Fair enough. So there you have it, everyone. The top 4 are going to be Manchester City, Liverpool, United and Spurs in that order. Either Crystal Palace or Leicester will finish 10th. Leicester may finish 10th or may get relegated. And Cardiff and Huddersfield are down for sure. Get down the bookies, put your money on it. Send your winnings to us. 50%. It's a generous take, I think, on mine and Jason's behalf. If that all comes in. And we'll be back shortly with part 3, which is our Euro part.
They're back, and they're just as horrible as before. Incessantly talking about football. Why can't they talk about what I like? Things like philosophy, cars, and Taylor Swift's membership of the Illuminati. Anyway, here's part 3.
And we're back, and we're European all of a sudden. Brexit hasn't happened. We're still there. even though Jason's in Australia and I'm in America and we're not in Europe. Anyway, mate, Europe.
It's beautiful. I just want my coffee in the morning, please. You know.
Oui. So, mate, Europe doesn't start for ages, so I don't think we need to talk about too much at the moment. I've got written down in the show notes, Gonzalo Higuain to AC Milan, fat. Anything to add to that?
No, I think you've encapsulated it all right there, really, and exactly what we believe and what we know. It is a bit of an interesting signing, but nah, it's not that interesting actually. He's a big fat man, and somehow he's managed to get through the medical at AC Milan, and they've allowed him to go through. You know, so very interesting to see him. And of course, he switched with Bonucci, which. It's a very strange thing after everything that happened with him and Juve. But I guess he's got still, or the old lady might still have a place in her heart for him. So now they're neighbouring cities. They're not too far away from each other. They probably didn't have to move house, so it probably wasn't too much of a jump for either one of them. They probably even play cards on the weekend together. I don't know, but yeah, yep. Fat Higuain over to AC Milan.
Higuain and Bonucci do a house swap. I like that as an idea. I can see Bonucci going, what's all this Argentinian stuff he's got going? All right, whatever. I've also got down here, mate. So when does the Spanish league start? When does La Liga kick off?
I believe it is. Oh, crikey! Actually, well, I think it's in about 3 weeks, isn't it? Isn't it at the end of August usually?
So like August 28th, 29th, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay,
So
Lopetegui will be at Madrid until the 24th, 25th, something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And then they'll fire him and bring in Pochettino, probably.
Oh God, that's up. My own joke has backfired. I wish Julian Lopetegui all the success in the world. Come on, Madrid. Come on. Gareth Bale saves Tottenham by being really good at Madrid. I kind of like that. It's kind
there
of
you go. That's pretty good. Yeah.
And then the other, I think, really big European signing is Arturo Vidal, who has gone to Barcelona.
Yes. Now, I like him. I've liked him for a long time. I've always been a bit suspicious about that haircut, but I mean, it does seem like the kind of haircut.
Bastard,
yeah, you can sort of, you could use him as a sort of battery ram, right? But instead of battering someone, you sort of pin him left and right, and you could cut people with that haircut. So you could sort of not decapitate.
Dream midfield, Vidal and Nangolan, like just tattoos and mohawks everywhere. Lovely.
Jeez. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh, and Hamsik. You could play Nangolan and Vidal as the holding two. Hamsik just behind the... Mohawk 11. Mate. We'll do that next week. Real time.
Martinez really, missed a trick there on that. But anyway, Roma did as well. But no, I think if you put Vidal into any team in Europe, he is going to guarantee you at least 4 red cards a season, and definitely and deadly performance. And I think I'm not entirely sure as to why Bayern Munich have let him go, but I think it's divided opinion. I actually think he's really, really good, and I think that under the right tutelage, he can be an outstanding football player. And he was obviously for Chile when he helped them win the Copa America, and he's been so good. But of course, I mean, they've got Thiago Silva in there, haven't they? Bayern, so they've probably got enough cover for that position, and they probably thought letting Vidal go was not too much of a bad deal. But yeah, no, I think he's great. I think he's really good. I like him.
And I think it's probably what Barcelona need. Some combativeness in the centre of the midfield. Mate, one more thing that I want to talk about in the Euro section. It's not actually really a European issue, but it feels like it because Marcelo Bielsa who is Argentinian, which is not in Europe, but he's someone who's managed in Europe for a bit. Mate, this is the loosest connection of all time. I just want to talk about the fact that Marcelo Bielsa is at Leeds. He's still there because Leeds fire managers all the time, and
Yes.
and Bielsa leaves clubs all the time. So right now, we should probably look it up on the internet. But mate, El Loco is at Leeds.
El Loco is there. It's unbelievable.
Didn't they play today? Actually, we should look that up and see what happened. Like two men pretend to be excited about something and then look it up on the internet to see what happened.
Yeah. No, they did. They won. Well, hang on a second. They were winning. They were losing.
They won.
They
They
were
beat
losing.
Stoke. They beat Stoke 3-1.
And then they came back. That's right. Yeah, I know. I was seeing the scores coming in. I know they went 2-1 up from a 1-0 down position. At least I think they were.
No, you've got that wrong. They were 1-0 up.
Wrong?
Sorry. Okay. Up, then they were 2-0 up, and then your worst,
completely wrong. Then Jesus.
Your worst signing of the season, Benica Phobic, pulled one back for Stoke, and then it was a penalty though in your defence, and then Leeds took 3-1. So Bielsa's off to a winner.
Look at that! Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Indeed.
Mate, this I am absolutely shocked with the appointment of Bielsa. It's a little bit ranking along Benitez staying at Newcastle when they went down. After coming from Real Madrid, you go to Newcastle, then they get relegated. You would have put your house on Benitez leaving for a more illustrious job somewhere else, but he stayed. You got to wonder whether Bielsa knows what he's doing, because he's come into this club. We all know what's been happening with Leeds over the last 10 years or so. It's just been a complete shod, and they haven't been able to get out of there. They've been stuck in that rut of championship football, and they have not been able to get out. And now they've brought in, for people who don't know, this guy is one of the considered to be one of the top managers or coaches of all times. All you have to do is just go to see what some of the top managers, especially Latin American and Spanish coaches, speak of him. Guardiola speaks extremely highly of him. Pochettino speaks extremely highly of him. Bielsa, I think Bielsa has his own move as well. He's got his own. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that. But I think he's got his own trademark, a move where a guy steps over. I may be completely wrong with this, but you pass the ball, you step over it, you let the guy behind you, you dummy it basically. You let the guy behind you knock it, and he knocks it into space, and then you move into that space and score from that. But I'll have to double check that. But he is a guy who is basically an unbelievable manager, and I don't know how they've got him. I really don't. It's incredible. It's really good.
It's nuts. I quite like to see Leeds back in the Premier League because I don't like Leeds, and the more teams that you have that you don't like in the Premier League, the more enjoyable it is. So I wish him all the luck in the world. Well, mate, I think that concludes us for today. It's lovely to be back. Lovely to have you back. I hope your anus recovers.
Thank you.
And thanks to everyone for tuning in, and we'll be back this time next week with a full review of the first round of Premier League fixtures already.
Can't wait. Born Offside is sponsored for the season by Bet563.
Hello, son. Fancy a bet? Well, thanks to Bet563's exclusive sponsorship of Born Offside, you can. Open an account now, and we'll give you 300 squids of imaginary money to bet with. Sounds like madness. But by the time you're addicted to our apps and algorithms, we'll have cleaned out your savings and your missus will have left you. This week, if you bet on anything and Tottenham actually sign someone, you don't get your money back, because I'm a West Ham fan and I fucking hate Tottenham. Piss off, you Spurs.
Terms and conditions apply. All free money is not actually worth anything. Please bet irresponsibly. And remember, when the fun stops, you're fucked.
3, 4.
Remember, like us on Facebook at Born Offside Pod. And leave us a review on iTunes. Seriously, none of you have done that. Do it, or they'll torture a baby hippo.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.